So what I want to show you here is how you can check for the PrintNightmare vulnerability on your systems using a security script that I have created. Now the system that we have here is a Windows 10 Enterprise system. It's patched and it's all up to date, and I've logged into this as a normal user. So just to verify that is the case, I'm going to again try and run PowerShell here. You'll see I'll try and run it as an administrator, and it's going to prompt me wanting elevation to do that. So I am logged in as a normal user. Now, what I'm going to use is a script that I've developed called sectest. You can find that at the URL at the top there in my GitHub repository. Now, some of the code from that was inspired by this repository that's available also on GitHub. So again, go and have a look at that. I've taken some of that code and I've also tied it up for use in my own environment, and once again you'll find that at my GitHub repo, and it is called sec-test. So what we need to do to run this, we'll need to run PowerShell, but we can run that just as a normal user. So I'm going to run it as a normal user, and I've already downloaded that script into a directory, and I'm just going to run that in user context. So let's go into documents, and we should find that the file is in there. Okay, so all you need to do is to run that, and it will post up a menu list here of all the different tests that you can run. Now, if you do want to run multiple tests, you can hold the control down and select, or you can hold the shift down and also make a range of selections. But in this case, what we're going to do is select option 30 down the bottom, the PrintNightmare Mimi Spool one, and then go OK. So what it's going to do is try and install basically a test print driver from a known entity across the internet, and then that will tell us whether we've got that vulnerability. So beware that it does install a print driver, and I'll let you know, show you how it goes about cleaning that up, because there may be a need to do a little bit of admin work to clean it up potentially. So this will take a minute or two while it downloads and installs that new printer into the system. And again, this is totally benign. It's provided by a security researcher just to help identify whether your system is vulnerable. Now, what I've also done is that I have also disabled Defender in this environment. So please note that the standard Windows Defender has been disabled. So what you'll notice here is that we now have an administrator command prompt. So this indicates that the system is indeed vulnerable. If we minimize that, have a look here, you'll see if an administrator command prompt appears, then the test has failed. So as you can see, if we look at our command prompt, you'll see that it certainly is an administrator level, which means that this system is vulnerable. So if we hit enter now, you'll get an indication that the test has failed, and it will go through the process of trying to remove the print driver files. Now, unfortunately, because this is in the user context, it can't remove some of the drivers from the spool directory. You would need to manually go in as an administrator and just delete those files. However, an easy approach may be to now run the PowerShell script elevated to an administrator. So I'm going to run the same script again, but I'm going to run it in the context of an administrator, and that will allow me to clean up those files for me. So if we go back to here, go back to users, then go to user one, and then go into the documents directory. All right, and then again, if we run that same PowerShell script, now remember we're running it in the admin context. Once again, scroll down to number 30 there, hit OK, and it will run through that same test, try and install that same printer. And again, in this case, because the system is vulnerable and we do have Windows Defender disabled, we're not going to get any warnings or prompts, and it will basically enable itself. So again, take a minute or two for that to download and install, because it is doing that or reaching out to it across the internet. So give it a moment or two for that to happen. We should see that command prompt once again pop up. We see here once again it's popped up as the administrator, which means the vulnerability is valid on this environment. And in a second or two, we'll get the prompt letting us know. So we just hit enter. And because we're logged in, or because we've elevated to admin privileges, you'll see that the script is now able to go in and remove those suspect DLL files or those demo DLL files. So you can either, like I said, run the script as a normal user. If you do, best practice would be to have an administrator go in and remove these two DLL files. But if you run the same script on the same environment as an administrator, it will be able to remove those for you. So makes it nice and easy to do a full cleanup. Now, as mentioned, you will find that script on my GitHub repository. The location of that is github.com/director-CIA Office 365, and then go in and look for the sectest.ps1 PowerShell. It'll do, or it has the capability to do a number of different basic vulnerability tests to let you know, firstly, whether your system is vulnerable, and then secondly, also generate alerts that can show up in your monitor to let you know that everything is working as expected. With that, thank you very much for watching this video.